John Stamos looks ahead to his new Disney Plus series and looks back on his career.
No way did we know that Full House was going to be around.
Stamos plays a high school basketball coach in Big Shot, but the actor told our Erin Jensen that he's not much of a sports fan.
Why did you want to be a part of Big Shot?
Well, David Kelly, for starters. I got a call. I was like, and you get these calls, and when they say you got this agent, this manager, this person, this, like when it's loaded up, you go, oh, something good's coming. And so you're going to get an offer for the new David Kelly show. And I'm like, oh my God, I love him. Like, I've always wanted to work with him. Do I play a lawyer? Is it like Big Little Lies 3 or whatever? I said, no, it's a basketball. I'm like, oh no. I swear I remember that moment so clearly. Because I'm the anti-at jock. I was a band geek in high school, and I'm still a band geek. I know nothing about sports. I can't play sports. I don't watch them. And I was nervous. And I met with David, and I was like, are we sure? And they said, yeah, you got this. And I don't know if I did it in the beginning. And I said, all right, you're an actor, like learn to be a coach. And I studied hard. I went to, I watched a lot of video. I talked to everybody that knew Bobby Knight. I studied Bobby Knight. I went to a Clippers practice with the great Jerry West here in Los Angeles. And I called it a rehearsal. And he said, son, it's called practice. And I got to that first scene, and I remember I was doing the final day of Fuller House, and there was a wedding, and it was emotional, it was dead, that kind of stuff. And then I had to go in and coach these big basketball players, and I had to scream and yell and throw chairs. And at the end of the day, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I think, you go into these things, if it's a good writer and a good producer like David, then you go, yes. And then you just hope for the best. And you don't always know what it's going to be or what it's going to turn out to be. But as it turns out, and nobody knew what the world would be like today, this show is perfect for right now. It's perfect for its time. I mean, we didn't know that this very week when we're launching this month that girls basketball was going to be in the headlines as far as equality and to the men's college ball. We didn't know that there's going to be a pandemic. We didn't, right? And now you have a show doing it. I go, okay, we're doing the right thing. I think we're listening, we're hearing, we're part of the conversation. But then you go, it's a show about a guy like me who has blinders on, coming into an all-female cast, and what happens is he starts to release his assumptions of these girls or stereotypes, and he connects with them, and he learns, and it breaks down the stereotypes. And looking back at it, I go, oh wow, I'm proud of that. That if that's happening, and I think it is, then we're on to something.
And you told that story at TCA about going up to see the Clippers and calling it a rehearsal.
Oh, yeah.
Were there any other sort of funny moments that you can remember from preparing?
Well, yeah, all of it. I mean, it was like I learned medical jargon on ER easier than this sports stuff. At least the medical stuff was Latin, and just kind of maybe, you could put it together, but it just doesn't make sense. And I spent a bunch, I had my brother-in-law reminded me the other day. I showed my family a couple episodes, and they're like, that's not you. That's not you. They said, your dad, that's dad. And that's when I really kind of locked in. I was like, oh, I'm doing a little bit of my father. But Holly calls me an entitled jock, and they just started laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing? Like, you're a jock. We know you're entitled, but to be called a jock, you've never been a jock. So that was, and my brother reminded me, and I just looked at it. There was an episode of Full House where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar came on, and I went to, and this was real. I was trying to, Jesse was supposed to be bad, but not this bad. And I threw the basketball at the rim, and it hit and came back and smashed me right in the face. And of course they left it in the show. Now they're like this big red. So I've come a long way.
That was my next question, actually, because you can't see you in this show and not remember, Jesse hitting his sweet spot. But you talk about being so bad, but I watched that clip today. You kept, swishing, landing that one in Jesse's sweet spot. So are you really that bad?
That was special effects, I think. And I don't remember, but jokes aside, it was my job to be a coach, to be a real coach. And I think I pulled it off. I'm proud of that. I got a text just yesterday from Jerry West, and he said, I'm going to read it to you because it was really nice. He said, John, I just finished watching the trailer and I found you very much to be like coaches that I had in my life. He said, I'm certainly not an actor, but you've done a great job capturing the image that many coaches try to convey to young people. I think I mentioned many coaches have enjoyed working with women more than men. I'm anxious to see more. Wishing you great success going forward. My best to you and your family. I said, okay, I think I got it, that part.
Are you a fan of basketball? Like, do you at least watch? Do you ever play, even with your little son, that little, the slam dunk thing kids have?
Yeah, we have that. I don't. I actually moved in a new house a while ago, right before the show, and there was a basketball court here. And the first thing I said was, get rid of that. We're going to tear that out. And we kept it here. I remember I went to a Lakers game years ago. I think it was with Gary Marshall or somebody, but we had floor seats. I was sitting on the floor, and all my friends that love sports were watching, and they said, you idiot. Like, you're not even looking at, like, I'm talking to people. They could see me on TV, like, doing this and eating popcorn. They said, at least when kids sit in those seats, they could grow up to be a fan. You're never going to be a fan. You shouldn't be in those seats. Don't do that anymore. So it's but I connect when I'm doing it. I get it. I get everything he's saying. And in the pilot, maybe you watch the show, he talks about, that great speech in the locker room. And there's been so many great locker room speeches. I studied all of them, but David Kelly took an approach that he connected to his father, which was really smart, my father. And he talks about, life, there's more to life than just basketball. Not my life, but most people. And the thing that in high school that they don't tell you about life is that it's hard and that it's cruel, and you don't have a fighting chance unless you fight. And it doesn't mean fight, but he means be your best. To be able to look in the mirror at the end of the day and go, I did my best. I was the best person I could be today. I was kind, I was loving, I was appreciative, I was grateful, and I worked hard and I did my best. And that to me is a good coach, and that to me is a good leader and a good role model, right?
Yeah, and it sounds, obviously you have a fondness for Coach Korn here. When you think about your career as a whole, would have been, I don't know if you have a top favorite or a couple of your favorite roles.
I loved ER. I loved playing that paramedic and then a doctor. That show, I love being on that show. I love the cast. But you just go into these things and you just put your head down and you try to do your best, and you try to show up and you try to be a pro, and you try to be know your lines and be kind to people. And then, you really don't know. It's we have no control over anything now. If it's not evident now, the pandemic started. It was like, wow, I hate this. I'm out of control. And then you go, we're never in control. We're not in control. We have to enjoy our life right now at this moment. We have to be grateful, but we can't control everything. So those roles, like I remember I had a meeting with Greg Berlanti, and he said, and then he called me and said, could you do this little thing on You? It was a show that did really well. And I was like, sure. He said, could you do me a favor and play this guy? I was like, yeah, that's that. I think that'd be Dr. Nikki. That was interesting. And that show blew up, right? Remember when it came on to Netflix? It was on Lifetime first. So you put your head down and you try to do your best and hope for the best. But I think this is going to be my favorite. I have a feeling. Is
there a role that you're most recognized for?
Well, it'd have to be Matthew on You Again, the show I did. No. Well, yeah, we thought, nobody, again, like you say, like having control or picking, a lot of these actors, you hear them on these podcasts, go, oh, then I picked this to do that. And I picked, you have, no way did we know that Full House was going to be around. People talk about it today. The reviews, I remember that one review said this show won't last till Thanksgiving. And that was 30 plus years ago. So that one, and I've been through the gamut of like not wanting to be part of that show, not wanting to be remembered for that character. Then I realized that what it meant to people, and I was like, okay with it. And I've done enough other work to satisfy, but still it's like, I went to Broadway after Full House, and I kept going back, and it was very challenging. And some of it was a success, some was a failure. I think I learned more from the failures, but I got to the point where I'm on stage with James Earl Jones, which is you know, hands down, maybe the greatest living actor. And I'm doing these scenes with him in the show and standing ovations, and I go out to sign autographs. What's Mary Kate and Ashley like? What, you know, I was just on stage. Okay, they're great. They're nice. They're sweet kids. I'm proud of them. You know, what are you gonna do?
Do you have any regrets when you think about your career?
Well, I don't, you know, that's a tough question because yes, I have regrets of my behavior, you know, sometimes I think, and I have regrets of maybe not working hard enough on certain shows or just getting by on, you know, whatever bullshit that I would get by on. I regret that. But the shows, no, there's this, and you know, the things that you think you're going to regret are now like the funny things to show. I did this, this movie about, it was Alice in Wonderland. And it was this big sweeping, like 1,000 stars, Sammy Davis Jr. and this person, and I worked with, and I had this song and dance thing with Harvey Korman, and it is like, oh my God. And I remember seeing it and it was, oh, this is the most embarrassing, and now I love it. It's like the lion and the unicorn, you know, you have to be able to laugh at this stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it makes life a lot easier. And then going back to Full House for a second, now that Fuller House is wrapped up, is there any other character you would like to revisit? Any remake or reboot you would be a part of?
Of anything I've done?
Anything you've done.
I would love it. Somebody asked me earlier, I love being on ER, as I said to you. But if they wanted to do a reboot on that, I'd be like, sign me up. I love that character. But, you know, enough with the reboots. It's time to, you know, that's the beauty of the show, too. It's like, not only is it, you know, I feel quite good, and I think people need it because it's aspirational and it's relatable, a lot of it, but it's fresh for Disney Plus. It's not, I think some of the, you know, the stuff that they have coming up, my buddy Josh Peck is doing Turner and Hooch. I can't wait to see that, but this is an original, right? This is, so that I think makes it extra special for me.
And I was looking at your Instagram, and I saw last month you'd wished Mike Love a happy birthday, you know, talking about cruising around in your dad's El Camino and listening to that music, and then that you never would have believed that he would be your best friend. When you think about your life, are there any other like pinch me moments that stand out to you like that?
Thousands. You know, I got a call this weekend. Did I tell this story? No, my phone it was from New York, and it kept ringing, and I didn't know who it was. And then I get a text saying, hey, John, pick up. It's Howard and Beth. It's Howard Stern and his wife. And he saw the show. And he just went on and on. You know, and if you would have told me, you know, that Howard Stern would be calling, or if you would have told me I'd be on stage with the Beach Boys, or just some of there's so many pinch me moments. I got to do Little Mermaid live last year, a few years ago, and playing the chef, you know, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. I have so many of those moments, and that would be my book. If you would have told me when I was a kid that, you know, this would happen. I've had a charmed, wonderful life, and I luckily I'm not too old to appreciate it and to laugh at it where it needs to be laughed at, and have fun with it, and be proud of some of it, and just be grateful, just gratitude.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these other videos from USA Today Entertainment to stay up to date on all of the latest celebrity news.